Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Showdown replay battle. Today I have another OU match using the same team that I used in my previous video. My opponent has quite a few threats on this team, but I also, like I said, have a few interesting things on mine as well in the previous video, and namely using Starmie, which is actually going to play a lot with max speed, and that's typically not seen as much these days. People primarily, from what I can tell, only use Starmie for like the rapid spin roll, and just happen to like spam Scald with it as well. So you'll see a little bit of that in this battle, but what a more offensively based Starmie can do, I guess. But I also am using again this interesting Jirachi set, which comes into play a couple times here and really saves me in the end. So let's just jump into this right now. So my opponent has a leadoff Heatran while I have a leadoff Starmie, and obviously doesn't want to stay in here. So I go for the Scald as he switches out into Thunderous, and I guess he decided to do this and not go into Slowbro here just because he didn't want to get a burn potentially on his Slowbro. But I get the burn here, and then I also pack the Ice Beam here, which a lot of Starmies don't do anymore. And because Starmie's faster than Thunderous, I can just outspeed it and take it out. So he brings in Clefable, and I know that I can't do too much to it, especially if it's Magic Guard. Even if I do get a burn on this thing, it's not going to matter too much. So I go into Venusaur and just take this as the perfect opportunity to just Mega Evolve. Also, if it wanted to go for a knockoff or something, I wouldn't lose my item. But I predict the switch out here because he obviously won't want to take it and take a Sludge Bomb. And go for Leech Seed, which gets a nice status thing, I guess, if you want to call it a status, on Heatran, allowing me to now bring in Gliscor a lot more safely. And I get my Toxic Orb activated, and he stays in and goes for Lava Plume as I go for knockoff. And I'm just like, why did you do that? That doesn't make any sense. But you're going to see here, I can just keep going for knockoff. I'm not even remotely like forced into going for Earthquake to take this thing out because of how much I'm getting back in HP for my Leech Seed and also my Toxic Orb. But he brings in Slowbro here. The knockoff is ineffective here because you can see right now it is a Mega Slowbro. So I just go for the Taunt, expecting him to go for Calm Mind. He just goes for Scald, though, and thankfully I'm able to live this. Gliscor does have a pretty good natural bulk to it all around, which is really nice, and obviously high HP if you're running a defensive set. But I figured, you know what, I could just switch into Starmie right here. If my opponent wants to go for Scalds, I can just switch out because of Natural Cure. So I'm going to keep going for Scalds on my own because I want to get this thing statused, and I don't want anything on my side of the field getting statused by a burn either. Now, I realized while making this video that my Starmie is actually Assault Vest, which is why I'm taking those so well. Not really sure why I picked that item, but it worked out really well in this battle. Unfortunately, neither of us are getting a burn, and now he has one Calm Mind up, so I'm like, crap, I need to save Starmie for later. I might need to outspeed the Terrakion, so I definitely need to switch out right here. Go into Jirachi, and now I'm able to go for the Toxic on this Slowbro, which, unless they pack Rest, usually kind of spells the end of it for Slowbro. My opponent just slacked off, though, probably not predicting that, because one other Jirachi runs Toxic. But I'm free to go for Sub here, and I was hoping that maybe the Scalds wouldn't break it. But it looks like they're going to anyway, so I'm thinking, okay, well, either way, I can still Toxic Stall this thing, because Iron Head plus Fringe means that you can't attack, and now you take more Toxic damage, which is basically how this set works. And so I'm thinking, okay, he's probably going to switch out. Let me just keep trying for subs. But he keeps going for Scald, and now I'm thinking, alright, poison damage is slowly racking up. Like, if he stays in here, he's just going to lose his Slowbro. He has to switch out if he wants to keep it, and I'm just free to go for sub until that happens. But it looks like he just decides to sacrifice his Slowbro here. Now that he's Mega Evolved, he doesn't have the Regenerator ability anymore, so he can't regain HP when he switches out. So I'm free to just go for the Iron Head here, take it out, only at 1% health, so it's anything at that point pretty much would have took it out. Now he brings in Heatran here, and I obviously do not want to take a Lava Plume. Turns out he goes for Earth Power, which I think is an interesting option, I guess, potentially. Actually, I'm not sure why he went for Earth Power, now that I think about it, because he would have got a burn on anything. But as you can see, I'm taking these Lava Plumes pretty well. Despite this Clefable being physically defensive, I guess this is a more specially defensive Heatran. That's what they typically run if it's not like an offensive variant. So I can take these Lava Plumes all day. And because he no longer has his leftovers, because I knocked off his item earlier, I am able to actually sit in here and pretty much just stall this thing out. Even though Moonblast is 4 times resisted in this situation, I'm able to regain HP while he isn't. And there's also the possibility of me getting a special attack drop, which is going to happen here, meaning that his Lava Plumes are now doing less and less and less damage, meaning I'll have to soft boiled less, and also meaning that I can take this thing out quicker. So as you see, just go for another one. Again, only doing 6%. I get another drop here, which is really cool. But I'm free to just keep doing this and eventually soft-boiled and take out this Heatran unless he chooses to switch. And at this point, he really doesn't have too much that can handle this Clefable other than his own Clefable. But he's going to decide to go out into Terrakion here. I'm not really sure why this turn he decided to do that. Because, again, he's going to take a Moonblast, and that's super effective for him being a fighting type. But he goes for the Iron Head. Again, my Clefable is physically defensive, so I can take that. Not too bad. He might be banded or scarfed. I'm not really sure. I didn't see Life Orb on there. Maybe Expert Belt. But it did, a considerable amount of HP to me. Had he had a maybe chance to switch that in safely, this could have been a whole other story because I would have had to switch out Clefable. Because that would have not done enough, and he would have outsped into a KO'd me otherwise. But since he didn't switch it in safely, I get to take it out. But I figured, you know what? I want to safe switch into my Jirachi. So I just went into Starmie there to sack it with the Stealth Rock. And then he brings in his Heatran here, and I'm like, okay, I can bring in my Dragonite. I haven't used this yet, this battle, so why not bring it in and go for the Earthquake? Interesting situation. He brings in Garchomp, and he pretty much has to go for Outrage here, which is going to be huge for me, because as a result of having to do that, because Garchomp usually only maybe packs Stone Edge to hit a flying type or something like that, I can just safely bring in my Clefable here and go for a Moonblast, which is going to do a considerable amount of damage to this Garchomp. He's locked in on Outrage, so he can't switch out, and I'm just going to get the immunity there. So I just go for one Moonblast, does a good amount of damage, and then I Softboil there in case he wanted to switch up moves on the chance that he wasn't Scarfed or something like that, or wasn't banded. I don't really know. But I bring in Venusaur on the Clefable. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can just go for the Sludge Bomb. I'm still not sure what this thing's moveset is entirely yet. But I'm just going to keep going for this. It's doing a considerable amount of HP to him. And then he goes for the Thunder Wave, and I'm like, aha, now I see it. You have an extra move that I didn't know what you had. Thank God I didn't go into like something, that could have been not appreciating that Thunder Wave at all. So I decided to actually go into Gliscor here, and I kind of basically trap my opponent now at this point. Go for the knockoff because I know that that is going to get rid of its item. And now in going into Jirachi right here, I pretty much put my opponent in a position where he either has to switch out in a Garchomp or has to stay in and just lose his Clefable. But as you're going to see right here, he's also a physically defensive Clefable. You go for the Iron Head, and it doesn't kill. Again, this Jirachi is not max attack whatsoever. But it looks like a +2 Moonblast is able to actually break my sub, which surprised me a lot. But he's just going to go into Garchomp here. He really has nothing to do in this situation. It's pretty much his game at this point. I was thinking he might have been like Rough Skin, Rocky Helmet, and then I would have taken like a lot of damage there, and maybe my Jirachi would have died or something, but he realized that, he can't do anything at this point. So he decides to go ahead and forfeit the battle. So that is it for my next OU upload, everybody. As always, thank you all for watching, and take care, goodbye. I will see you all next time.